Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream here on the AviationPro channel. This is the fourth live stream that I'm doing, and it's been a while ago since I've last done a live stream. And I thought it might be a good idea again because, of course, it's always nice to help out anywhere, to answer all your questions, and to tell you a little bit about the channel and the upcoming videos. So let's take a look. Please make sure you go to aviationpro.nl/live. All right, that's working. My audio is working fine, I see. Make sure you go to aviationpro.nl/live so you can join the chat room over there. There's a little chat room at the bottom where you can set your name and ask your questions. And of course, it's always a lot of fun to see a lot of people posting all those questions. Can be about anything, can be about the channel, about aviation, about the Vatsim, for example. Of course, Vatsim is quite a big topic here on the channel. So if you have any questions regarding that, please post them there. And yeah, maybe I can answer it for you. Make life a little bit easier if necessary. Okay, so yeah, it's the fourth episode already, and let's take a look. There's some people already joining. Welcome in, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. Of course, I have no idea, but it might be helpful to set your names. So maybe I recognize some of you. Of course, I see a lot of names coming by when answering comments. There's already Anonymous 7208. Hi, good evening to you. And yeah, of course, when I see all those comments, I kind of remember the names of the people who give a lot of comments and yeah, feedback on the channel. All right, so everything seems to be working. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I did today. I flew, of course, in the simulator. It would have been nice if it was real, but I flew in the sim on Vatsim from Keflavik Airport in Iceland to Boston in the US. And of course, what you might know from the previous video here on the Aviation Pro channel, the channel update, the next Vatsim video is going to take place in the United States. So, of course, I always like to kind of, fly to the actual destination that I'm then going to depart from. I don't really like the, beaming over to the other side of the pond thing, as if I've just arrived there. I kind of like to, travel around the world literally in Flight Simulator. It might seem a bit silly, but if I'm gonna fly in the US, then I want to fly to it. So I flew to Keflavik about 3 months ago. It's been a long time since I've been flying. Hi, hello everyone. Ali Kazemi. Hi, I'm doing fine. And VPA 561. Good evening to you guys. Welcome in. And I hope more people will join. Of course, that's a lot of fun if there are a lot of people there. But I flew to Keflavik 3 months ago, so it's been a while since I've last made a real flight. Only thing I really did was flying around randomly like I did in the channel update. But this was a real flight again. Of course, unfortunately, there was not not any ATC available. I mean, I flew in the morning. It's not really. I mean, then it's night in the US, and yeah, you have to be kind of lucky to get air traffic control then. But yeah, it was a nice flight. Departed from Keflavik. I think it was about 9. No, it was about 9 a.m. local time, so it was still dark there. And then when you depart and fly to the west, of course, you're kind of flying together with the sunrise. So actually, you're flying constantly in sunrise for a very long time, which is, of course, a very beautiful sight. And yeah, at some point, the sun takes over, and then it's daylight. But it's, of course, a lot of fun. And then I arrived in Boston. And why Boston? Well, I have the scenery of Flight Tampa for that. And of course, I have no idea yet what kind of flights I'm going to make in the US. Kind of depends on air traffic control availability and on maybe an event that might take place very soon, and then I can fly that flight. And of course, yeah, I want to do it as soon as possible. Because it's been a while ago again since the last Vatsim video was up. It was from Geneva to Frankfurt, which was also a very beautiful flight. But I'm looking forward to do a flight in the US this time, the other side of the pond. There's some slight differences there, like you're not KLM 1234, you're KLM 1234, things like that. And transition altitude is always 18,000 feet, and some slight procedural differences. You don't have to ask for pushback. The ramp controllers do that for you. And they aren't even there, I think. No, I've never seen them on Vatsim anyway. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I think it might be a lot of fun to fly in the US for a change, also for the channel. So welcome in, everyone. There are some more people already joining. If you have any questions regarding anything aviation, Vatsim, the channel, please go to aviationpro.nl/live. There's also a link in the description if you're watching this on the YouTube page, and make sure you post your questions there, because this is the moment to have them answered. I will be here for an hour until what is it? 6:30 Zulu. Yeah, 6:30 Zulu. 18:30 to be exact. So, all right. Okay, Ali Kazemi, your word anonymous. Yeah, some people still have to set their names. You can set your name in the chat room if you want to, so I know who you are. And I still live in Rotterdam. I'm not in Rotterdam right now, but I still live there. And yeah, that was why I didn't really fly a lot in the past 3 months, because I had to move and to a new location, and it just took up a lot of my time. So yeah, that's why I didn't do any flying and not a lot of video making. Okay. We have already one question in the chat room over at aviationpro.nl/live, and it's VPA561. He asks, perhaps you could do a tutorial flight with NetTrex when you return home. Yeah, I might do that. This morning I didn't actually fly a NetTrex. When flying from Iceland, you usually join a random routing, or you make your own random routing, because you're not really flying a NetTrex. But I kind of cheated, because in the real world you're not allowed to cross the NetTrex using a random route, and you actually have to fly level 300 to fly under the NetTrex that are updated every single day. But I flew straight to them because there was not any traffic, and otherwise my flight would be way too long if I would make a huge deviation. And I've no idea if it's allowed to join a NetTrex in the middle. I tried to find some information about that, but if any of you guys know about whether you can join the NetTrex in the middle when flying from Iceland, for example, because normally when you join a NetTrex, you start at the beginning, somewhere over at England or the north of Spain, northwest of Spain. That's kind of the region where those NetTrex to the west begin. But I have no idea if you're allowed to join a NetTrex in the middle. That's what I'm wondering. So if any of you guys know if that's allowed, if that's usable, because I can imagine, if you want to fly from Iceland and the NetTrex to the west are very high up north, there's no way you can just stay at fly level 300 for hours, or make a huge deviation to the north in order to avoid those NetTrex if you want to fly to New York. So kind of wondering how that works. But since it's Vatsim and there was barely any traffic over the ocean, I just decided to decided to fly a route which was going through all the NetTrex. It's flight level 340 and some step climbs to 380 eventually. So yeah, let's get a little cup of coffee. Always good. You need it as a pilot, especially at such a long flight. It took about 5 hours. But when I'm gonna maybe when I'm flying back from the US to Europe, I might do a little bit of a long flight, maybe using the net tracks, and of course this time to the east. I'm eagerly waiting for the service pack of the iFly 747. Maybe if you follow the iFly forums, or if you have any of their products, you know that they're working on a service pack for the 747 that version 2 that they've released. I have some reviews on that as well. You can view them over here on the website at AviationPro. If you go to the menu, let's take a look. I have to search for it myself. Flight simulation and then reviews. There's some review of the new 747, and yeah, it's a very nice airplane, but there's some adjustments to make, and yeah, they try to tweak the performance. But yeah, when that aircraft is fully flyable, I might take it on a flight, a very long haul flight, to using a net track, and maybe explain on the way. Of course, it's a little bit of a different procedure, and not a lot of people do it. I rarely fly long hauls, usually fly the short hauls only. So because you make more takeoffs and landings, that's the idea. So yeah, all right. Some more people joining in. Welcome everyone. Let's see. We got 7 anonymous persons. You can set your name in this chat room. At the bottom, there's somewhere a button which says "Set your name," and then I have an idea who you are. And if you have any questions about aviation, the channel, or Vatsim, or it's a very big topic, then feel free to post those questions right here on the chat room so I can answer them for you. I'm gonna stay here for another 50 minutes, so make sure you have them in the chat room very soon so I can answer them for you. All right, Ali Kazemi. Oh, you live in Rotterdam too. That's quite nice. I love the city. We have an airport. That's cool, of course. Rarely go to Rotterdam airport, actually. I've only been there once. But from my room, I can see a lot of airplanes coming by, which, of course, is a lot of fun. If you live near an airport, you see a lot of traffic. And then, if you're a pilot, you just always look up. No matter what you're doing, if you hear a chopper or an airplane flying by, you just look up. That's just something that's in your blood to do. So, yeah, of course, that's a lot of fun. So, yeah. So I was talking about the next Vatsim video, basically, for which I made the flight to the US this morning, to Boston. And I have no idea when it will be released yet, but I guess I'm going to fly it within a week or two. I hope within a week. And then, of course, I can start editing, which, of course, the least fun part to do of this video making, because adding subtitles and all those kind of things takes a lot of time. And I add them so that it's more easy to understand for people who are trying to fly on Vatsim, to understand what air traffic control is saying and to learn from it. So that way it takes a little bit long to make a really full Vatsim video. But I hope to have it done very soon. And okay. Let's see, there's a question from Ali. Do you have plans to make a Vatsim video, but with a shared cockpit? That will be awesome. Yeah. I have never really looked into shared cockpits. I know it's available. I know there's an MD80 add-on for Flight Simulator X that is possible to do it with. I'm not sure if it's possible to do it in FS 2004. If you do know, please let me know, because it might be fun to do. I've also thought about doing flights with 2 persons in one cockpit, to have someone sitting next to me, a friend of mine who also has Flight Simulator. If you can fly a little bit, then it's fine. But I'm thinking about doing that, because flying alone is not as fun as flying together. And flying alone without ATC is even worse, because then it's just too silent, Like this morning from Keflavik to Boston, it was just quite silent. So in the meantime, I did other things around in my room to clean it up a little. That's the kind of things you have to do then. And that's why another reason why I don't really like the long hauls, because Yeah, it's just I really like to have a lot of air traffic control around, on the short flights, like the video from Geneva to Frankfurt, for example. Of course, that was a lot of fun with full ATC all the way through. So, all right, there are some more questions coming in. Keep them coming, people, in the chat room. There are already 13 people here. That's good to see. And some people have said their names. That's also good. There's a question from VPA561. What Vatsim client do you use? Squawkbox, Aviation, or VPilot? I'm using Squawkbox. It's a very convenient program. It's very easy to use. I've used it for years since I've started flying on Vatsim. And it works the best with FS 2004. And the only drawback about Squawkbox, it doesn't have really a lot of options like setting AI traffic models. So the airplanes I see are not always the airplanes that people actually fly. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But as long as I see some kind of aircraft, then it's really fine to me. Of course, I see a lot of videos and screenshots coming by of people who have a lot of yeah, programs and tools to get their AI models linked with their pilot clients, so you can see the actual aircraft, which is very cool. But I'm sure it's quite time consuming to do that. So yeah, I might do that sometime. But I'm using Squawkbox pure because of its convenience. It always works. I've never had a problem with Squawkbox, and yeah, why not use it if it doesn't break? Yeah, why don't keep using it, right? So. All right, there's some more questions coming in. Clark, in which continent will be the next Vatsim flight? So I've talked about that. It will be in the US, United States. North America to be precisely answering your question, North America. I might fly to Canada, might fly to St. Martin, for example. You never know. That's an exotic destination, of course, and of course, a very nice approach with the runway beginning at the beach. Of course, you all know St. Martin, right? If you're an aviation enthusiast, you should know about it. But yeah, that really depends on ATC availability, as I said before, but it will be in North America at least. All right, Timmy, good evening to you. Which network is better, IVAO or Vatsim? Yeah, that's a question I get a lot as well. I should include that in the FAQ section, but I'm not sure if a lot of people like that. Because I'm sure there are people who like IVAO, however you want to call it, IVAO better than Vatsim. I've never actually flown on IVAO, but I've seen videos and I've read stories. That's the basic thing that I judge this answer from. But yeah, Vatsim is just more professional in my opinion, because in most countries, air traffic controllers actually get training. So it's not like you can easily become an air traffic controller at a random airport in the US or in Europe. Yeah, that just doesn't work on Vatsim. You have to join a VAC, and then you have to go through air traffic control training. And if the air traffic controllers are highly trained, which is possible because there are not a lot of air traffic controllers, at least that side of the aviation spectrum is well trained, and it adds to the quality of the network. Of course, it's impossible to train every single pilot before they are allowed to join on Vatsim. So that's where the reduction in the quality, I think, is coming from. But yeah, it's just, for me, the feeling is that Vatsim is more professional because you have the well-trained controllers. The rules are quite strict on Vatsim, which is not to scare you away, but just to make it more realistic. That's what's all about. And the main thing I always say, Vatsim is quality, and IVAO is quantity. It's of course, I think it's true that on IVAO on a regular evening there's more traffic in Europe, at least. So yeah, that's the thing about IVAO. If you just like busy airspaces and don't really care about the quality or people making a lot of mistakes, yeah, then join IVAO. But if you want to do it really professional, if you really like to simulate everything to as real as it can get, Vatsim is more of a place for you to be. Of course, there are more rules, but as long as you just keep to them and keep in mind that you want to simulate reality as closely as possible, then yeah, Vatsim is more of a place for you. Of course, it doesn't mean that it's not busy on Vatsim at all. I mean, there's plenty of traffic also on regular evenings, especially in the weekends, and of course during events. And of course, that's what Virtual Pilot 320 asks also. Are you going to join flying the CTP tomorrow, the Cross the Pond event? That's one of the biggest events in Vatsim, of Vatsim, that Vatsim has, where a lot of aircraft cross the pond to fly from the US to Europe or the other way around. And tomorrow it's from US to Europe eastbound. So, and I'm not flying, by the way. I have to stay in the US to make my Vatsim video, and I don't really have time to make a lot of long haul of 7+ hours. So I will stay in the US this time. So yeah, I mean, when it's very busy during events, and the quality is high, I prefer that over having a very busy airspace with less quality. Yeah, so that's my opinion. Of course, I've never flown an IVAO. I don't think I will, because if I fly, the time that I have for flying is very little anyway. So yeah, then I just fly on Vatsim. So all right, another famous question by Ali. Do you prefer Boeing or Airbus? Well, I'm a Boeing man, of course. I think a lot of you know that. Yeah, I just like the Boeing aircraft better, the style and the cockpit philosophy as well. Of course, the Airbus cockpits are a bit more modern. There's a bit more automation involved. But I just like the classic look of um, the Boeing cockpits. I mean, the 737 800 doesn't differ that much from the 737 200. It still has this classic look, and the yoke, of course, which might be an object that's just in your way, but actually, I think I like the yoke better from my flight simulator experience. Of course, I have no rights to judge on that. That flying with a yoke is better than with a joystick. But for me, it just feels more comfortable, especially that you can see what the aircraft is doing. Because if you're the autopilot steers to the left, the yoke moves to the left as well. But in Airbus, you don't see that. You don't see the joystick moving to the left. Those are those kind of little perks that Boeing has that I really like. So yeah, that's why I prefer Boeing, and I think we'll stay that way. Of course, there are other manufacturers that I like too. I like the Embraers a lot. Kind of have the same philosophy. There's not a lot of automation involved. For example, the Embraer 135 and 145 don't really have a VNAV system, so you kind of have to make your own adjustments on how quickly you climb or descend, which is a lot of fun to me. And yeah, so for me, it's Boeing. Yeah, and I think it will stay that way for the time being. So another question coming in. For now, this is already the last question. And people, if you are here in the chat room, please make sure you join the chat room at aviationpro.nl/live and have your question answered. I'm going to stay here for another 35 minutes. So if you have a really pushing question about aviation, Vatsim, or the channel, feel free to post it. Okay. And there are also already some more questions coming in. That's good. All right. How to use IVAO, and can we landing at the carrier at Vatsim? Okay, that's what Herky23 asked. I have no idea about IVAO. I suggest you go to the IVAO website to find more information about that. I've never flown on IVAO, so I can't really answer that question. And can you land in a carrier at Vatsim? You are allowed to fly military planes, but there are some restrictions on that. It's not like you can just hop into your F-16 and fly away. I think you need some special training for that, with your local VAC. They usually have some kind of military division that teach you the military procedures, and I'm sure landing at carriers is part of them. But I don't have a lot of experience with that. But it's not allowed to just pick your F-16, fly through all airspaces, fly very close to airliners. That's just not allowed. I'm sure you're going to be kicked or maybe banned from Vatsim if you do that continuously. So I should watch out with that if I were you. And yeah, make sure you follow training from your local VAC or ARTCC about military procedures and flying military planes, and flying together with other military pilots is of course very useful. So, and landing at carrier, yeah, of course that's a lot of fun, I can imagine. But yeah, there's special procedures involved. It's not like civil aviation, so you should really pay good attention to that. Then we have another question, Deal02. Good evening to you. Do you know how to fly an Airbus? If you do, will you do some routes? Well, I have no idea how to fly an Airbus. I'm sorry, I don't have any Airbus on my flight sim. Actually, I think there was never released a very good Airbus for FS 2004. So that's kind of a shame that. For FS 2004, that's not really a good Airbus add-on. I know about the AirSimmer 80 A320 series, but I guess that project is dead. And yeah, for FSX and Prepar 3D, there are of course the Aerosoft Airbus. But yeah, since I'm a Boeing man, I don't really have plans to fly the Airbus, so I have no idea how to fly one. I would know how to steer it, but I don't have any idea about the systems that are involved. So yeah, I think I will leave the Airbus for other pilots who like to fly Airbuses, and I'll keep flying the Boeings and the Embraers. Then we have another statement from Redby: fly to Jakarta. Yeah, I've been thinking about flying in Asia as well. I really have no experience with flying in Asia on Vatsim. Must be a fun thing to do. I have no idea about ATC availability either, but I'm sure there are events there as well. And who knows, in the future I might do a flight in Asia. So I'm now going to make a video in the US, and yeah, who knows? I can't really tell. I mean, my main hub is Europe, so that's where I make most of my flights, and I like flying there because a lot of different airports, a lot of small countries, close together. Yeah, I just like flying in Europe a lot, and probably I will make most of my videos in Europe. When I'm done in the US, I'm gonna fly back to Europe. So yeah, but Asia is on my list as well, and I'm sure there are a lot of people here on the AviationPro channel that are from Asia and would like to see me do a flight there. And hi, Twan. Good evening. Yeah, people would like to see me make a flight there somewhere. But yeah, we'll see. No promises, but of course you can stay tuned via my Facebook page. There's a link over here at aviationpro.nl. At the top, you can see my links to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Okay. Let's see. Clark has another question. What was the most stressful situation you were on Vatsim? Well, there have been plenty of stressful situations, especially in the beginning, of course, when you're a very young pilot, and yeah, you don't have any experience. There were some very stressful situations. I remember joining the Friday night fly-in of the Dutch FAC. You might know that event. That's an event where they simulate Friday night operations at Amsterdam as closely to the real world as possible. So you have to book a flight, and you may have to make sure that you arrive at the same time as the real flight that night, which is of course a lot of fun. Yeah, and it was one of my first days on Vatsim, and I clearly wasn't ready to fly an event because it was very busy. A lot of airplanes in the airspace and on the frequency. So yeah, it was It was quite stressful. I remember flying from, I think it was London Heathrow or something, or Norwich maybe, from England to Amsterdam, and I had to fly direct Sierra Papa Lima. No, I had to fly Sierra Papa Yankee, and I constantly thought he said fly direct Schiphol, Sierra Papa Lima. I just couldn't hear him right. Right now I know that I can have a direct to Sierra Papa Yankee VOR station, but yeah, I had no idea what to do, and I simply logged off. I was so stressed out, and I didn't have any idea what to do, so I just logged off, which was maybe a wise decision because, of course, for controllers, it's yeah, it's hard to deal with newbies. Of course, this is not to scare you away, but it's not wise to join events immediately when you just start on Vatsim. You kind of have to build your way up, and when you really, really feel ready to join, you should. But I clearly wasn't ready, so yeah, that was kind of a stressful situation. And there will be more, when you just don't know what to do, or and it still happens sometimes. But right now I kind of know how to deal with those situations. You should also not be afraid to ask the air traffic controller for help, even via voice. I mean, if he has some kind of instruction for you, that's already fine to take you out of your problems. And yeah, so yeah, that's kind of the deal. So yeah, flying on Vatsim is sometimes stressful, but above all, it's fun, and again, stress is part of the game, and you need to be able to control that, of course, at some point. And that's the goal. All right. Red B has another question: which is better, the A330 or the 777? Of course, I'll go for the 777 since I'm a Boeing man. I think I've said that a couple of times now in the last half hour. But yeah, I like the 777 a lot. Just the looks and the sounds. Been to Amsterdam, of course, quite some times. Seen it take off and land a couple of times, and it's just a very nice big airplane. I like the A330 too. It's quite a loud airplane, and when it takes off, I have some good videos of that as well. But yeah, I just like the looks of the 777 better, and the cockpit as well, of course. I mean, never seen a real cockpit, but from pictures, it has the classic Boeing style, so I like that a lot better. And I believe, from what I've heard, it's a very nice airplane to fly. What I do like about the A330 is how smooth it can land. The wheels are kind of like, now see if that shows correct, like this. They touch down like this very smoothly, and then they go flat like that. So I like that when those wheels touch down, and it seems like you can, yeah, make a lot of great smooth landings with that airplane, and I really like that, to see that. Pilots doing their best when there's just no wind at all. You see those wheels slowly touch down. It must be a very comfortable passenger experience. The 777 has that as well. I mean, all airplanes can have those wheels like that, but to a lesser extent, I think. But the A330 is really like quite vertical actually, and it's of course a lot of fun. So to see, and it must be a smooth landing. So that's what I like about the A330. But to summarize, I like the 777 better. All right, another question from VPA 561. Am I right in thinking that in the US you should squawk Charlie when starting to taxi? I don't know. Might be, but the usual procedure is to squawk Charlie as soon as you are on taxiing onto the runway. When you're almost airborne. That's the most convenient thing to do. It might be that you have to squawk Charlie. Those kind of things I have to look up, or maybe just experience myself. If there are people who know about this, who are from the US or fly in the US regularly, please go to the chat room over at aviationpro.nl/live so you can answer this question. For me, it's also a bit new to fly in the US, so I'm not sure what this rule is. It's a bit different at every airport. At the one airport, you have to squawk standby as soon as you've landed and when you're taxiing. In some airports, you have to keep it in Charlie mode, but the usual procedure is to just put it into Charlie as soon as you're taking off, and put it into standby just after you've landed. So, yeah, um, that's what I think the procedure is. But correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to chime in on that. Then we have another question. What's from Elvin Pradana? Good evening. What's your favorite airport? Can we fly together? Well, I'm still thinking about doing maybe a flying session with AviationPro fans. Sounds very classy. To fly together with a couple of people might be nice to do. I still have to organize that. Maybe this winter. I was also going to talk about my plans for the winter. Maybe it's a good idea to talk about that right now. I have a lot of free time in January, and my plan is kind of to make some flight training videos. If you go to the website, aviationpro.nl/flight simulation/flight training, or if you just go to the menu, you can see that I'm planning to make some training videos for several aircraft, the 737, the 767, and the Embraer 135 and 145 series. And also some ground school videos, some very basic flight training videos that I think that every pilot needs. So this is before you even join Vatsim, and before you go into phraseology. So yeah, it might be a good idea to do those kind of videos, to really get to know the basics of flying before you actually join Vatsim. Because the videos that I've made so far regarding Vatsim are mostly about communication procedures, and some of the basics of flying, but actual flight training hasn't really been, I haven't really discussed that extensively. So that's my plan for the winter, to make some flight training videos, and might be useful for you guys to follow those, as if you were at ground school, and then also some videos for the airliners that I've just mentioned. So that will take a lot of time, of course, but in January I have a lot of free time to do that. So, and my favorite airport, well, I guess it's Amsterdam. It's kind of the only airport I've really been to a lot in my life, and but there are some small airports in Europe as well that I really like to fly to, like Prague and Bratislava, and Vienna. Those kind of airports in Central Europe that I really like to fly to fly very short flights with small aircraft, for example, to make a lot of landings and takeoffs, preferably with ATC, of course. All right, let's take a look. All right, Ali has another question. Do you know Musical Aviator? Yes, I know him. I've seen his channel. He's an experienced pilot. I gave a tip to follow his instructions, maybe a partnership. Yeah, you'd never know, Don't really have time to engage in partnerships because I barely have time to make videos myself. I know he makes a lot more videos than I do, but I'm trying to put a lot of effort into making a video. So not just me flying for 2 to 3 hours, like just recording it and say nothing. But what I try to do is really explain along the way for new pilots or experienced pilots to learn something, and to really get to know the procedures, and also with the subtitles and things like that. That's why it takes some more time for me to produce a video, and of course, the flying time is also a little bit of a difficulty to find flying time. But that's what I really do, and I don't really have time for partnerships in that way to work together. But as I said, I might do a flying together with some people sometime to just for fun, with pick a random small general aviation airport and just fly together information. That would be a cool thing to do. All right, let's take a look. All right, Red Bee says, I love the 777 I don't tell that, but it's so classy. Yeah, it's a very classic airplane. That's what I like about it too. All right, let's go to the next question. We still have 20 minutes, so if you have a question, please make sure you post it in the chat room over at aviationpro.nl/live. H737, good evening to you. What do you think about the FS add-on producers to force using FSX because of leaving FS9 productions? Many people prefer to keeping using FS9 because it really no bugs. Works on low-end hardwares, etc. But FSX has still serious bugs itself, or works by operating systems, etc. Yeah, of course that's a shame that FS9 is kind of being dropped. I understand it. I mean, there are new platforms available, FSX, but especially X-Plane and Prep-R3D, those kind of the platforms that are giving hope for the future. But yeah, to me as well, it's too buggy. It's too. I hear too many stories about out of memory errors. I hear too many stories about low frame rates when using heavy add-ons, and that kind of scares me away. Still, I have a quite powerful computer. Yeah, but FS9 runs so smooth and indeed without any crashes or bugs that I just prefer to fly FS9. And of course, it's a shame that a lot of developers drop FS9. Although I can understand it, especially when building aircraft, because from what I understand, building aircraft in FS9 versus FSX is really a big difference. Because it's just a whole other technology, a whole other type of writing, I think, than in FS9. So if you really want to make an aircraft work in FS9, yeah, it's a bit difficult to do. So that's why I'm also quite wondered why and how iFly managed to create this new 747 for all flight simulators. That's quite astonishing, and the quality is so great. That's what I really like. And I'm really glad that I've made that airplane. And of course, I'm not going to fly the 747 as much as the 737, but still, it's a very good job that they've managed to achieve that. And I think they are really the only ones, the only big developer that still does that. And for sceneries, it's a bit more easy, from what I understand, to transfer it from FSX or Prep-R2D to FS 2004. But yeah, still, also, those developers are also saying goodbye to FS9, unfortunately. And although I don't like it either, I guess it's just the way it works, and that's the future. For me personally, I really want to wait for a 64-bit version of Prep-R2D when I ever want to switch to that, because I'm just too worried about out-of-memory errors. Even though I don't do any long hauls, when I do one, I really want to land. I don't want to, approach my airport and then boom, out of memory error, your flight is finished and it's not being recorded on VATOware. Those kind of the things that I really worry about. So yeah, I'll also still stick with FS9. Luckily, there are a lot of add-ons for FS9 though, although they're getting old. But there's some quite good-looking sceneries. I mean, Flight Tampa has a lot of good sceneries. There's Mega Airport Amsterdam and NL2000s. There's the iFly 737, which quality-wise is not as great as the PMDG 737, but system-wise it's just basically the same. So it's fine for me. It's a great airplane to fly. And our new 747 is an amazing add-on, very realistic and highly detailed. The Embraer is also one of my favorite airplanes. A lot of detail and works perfectly for me. So, yeah. And Taxi to Gate, by the way. Taxi to Gate also makes great sceneries for FS 2004. So, yeah. I can still fly FS9. That's no problem. And, yeah. It's, I guess it's just a matter of time before no one is going to develop for FS9 anymore. But as long as I can fly my favorite airplanes to favorite destinations, then it's fine. But aircrafts and airports change over time, and so at some point you have to switch. And whenever there's a good 64-bit version of Prep-R3D, and when I have a good computer, one which can handle or run FS9 the same smooth way as the current one does now, then I really wanna might switch. But it's a big topic, and I'm keeping my eyes on it. Let's go to the next question. Dual02, would you like to fly over to Serbia? Well, who knows? I can't make any promises. Although I fly regularly in Europe, I've never flown to Serbia, so it might be a destination on my list for the next time. But I first have to fly back to Europe, of course, because I'm now in the US for the next Vatsim video, which I'm going to record hopefully very soon. Okay, and VPA 561 regarding the squawks, it seems that in the US this is the same. So we ask a question whether we should squawk Charlie when you're taxiing. So I'm just gonna open the topic. Okay, UK perspective. All right. There's a relevant section in the Aeronautical Information Manual of the FAA of the United States, which says civil and military transponders should be adjusted to the on or normal operating position as late as practicable prior to takeoff, and to off or standby as soon as practicable after completing landing roll. So, yeah, unless the change to standby has been accomplished previously at the request of ATC. Okay, so that answers the question. It's the same in Europe. Just before takeoff, you switch it to Charlie, and after landing, you switch it to standby. So that's the official way it works. And yeah. Okay. So thanks VPA 561 for sharing that link. Of course, you can find in the chat room over at aviationpro.nl/live. You can find a link to that forum post on Vatsim. And let's see, it's the I think the third post that says something about the use of squawk mode Charlie on or in US airspace. So it's also good to remember for me that it's just the same in Europe, and I'll just keep using that system. All right, Relia 12, good evening. Welcome to the chat room. If you have any question, please post it. You still have 13 minutes to do so. After that, I will leave. Oh, there's a question. Good. First, we have Wimbley. What old plane do you like? I really like the Spitfire. And it's one of my favorites old Warbird airplanes that I really, really like. Of course, I've been to the Flying Legends Air Show in Duxford, England last year, 2014. And it's just amazing to see those airplanes flying. I've seen it one time before, the same year at the so-called Dutch Air Force Days, the Luchtmachtdagen, here in the south of the Netherlands. And yeah, it's just an amazing airplane. Those engine sounds, and the sound when they're flying by, and when they're just taxiing by. It's just amazing. And then at the Flying Legend Air Show, you only see those kind of old planes, and it's just amazing. And I really like the Spitfire, I just like the sound of it. Although I have to say that I really liked, some of the U.S. Navy Warbirds too, like the Corsair and the Hellcat. Amazing engine sounds, especially the engine sounds that really do it. You just get goosebumps when you hear that for the first time when they're flying by at high speeds. I mean, we've all watched the movies, like the Pacific, the miniseries, and those airplanes were there, and what they had to do, and then you see them flying in front of you, and you just get the goosebumps, when you hear it flying by. So I really, really love that. I would love to go to another air show sometime to watch those kind of old planes. And of course, there are a lot of old planes, also big planes like bombers, or it was also the Lockheed Constellation that I saw there. So yeah, great airplanes. I love the old airplanes, but yeah, I think the Spitfire the most. Yeah. All right. Then another question, and it's from Maria 12. Are you flying on IVAO sometimes? No, I don't fly on IVAO, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately, I don't know. I've never tried it. If I really have to, yeah, just tell me. But I like flying on Vatsim a lot. So, and if I have time for flying, which is not a lot, I just fly on Vatsim. All right. VPA 561. I need to get off now. Thanks for another information live stream. Look forward to your next video. Okay. Thanks for watching. Glad you joined in and posted your questions and feedback. And I see you next time. There's some more people in the live stream chat room. I still have 10 minutes left. If you have any question, please post it now so you can have it answered. Of course, it would be cool to do that. So what did I want to talk about? There was something. I kind of forgot. Well, I don't remember. I lost it, but maybe I have to take my last sip of coffee. I don't know. Oh, there's one more question coming in. I'm curious why US controller says 10 minutes after when giving clearances. What does it mean 10 minutes after exactly? Because you can't hear like that out of US. Out of the US. Not sure what you mean. I'm not sure in what context you are saying that, H737. 10 minutes after when giving clearances, I don't know. If you give me a whole sentence, maybe I can work it out, but I'm not sure where to put that 10 minutes after thing, actually. All right, rally at 12. Oh, you're online at IVAO at Zurich Tower. Oh, that's nice. We have an air traffic controller in the chat room. IVAO of the rival network, of course. Doesn't mean that you're not allowed to join this chat room. Of course, you're all welcome to join the chat room. If you're flying on Vatsim or not, or if you're flying on IVAO or not. Doesn't matter. You're all welcome to post your questions. 8 minutes left for you to do so. There's another question coming in from Acro14. Will you do an Airbus video? No. Well, maybe that's a bit harsh. I've done some Airbus videos in the past, mainly for exterior views, because I don't really have a good Airbus for FS2 So yeah, I have no plans to make an Airbus video, really. I'm sorry. Maybe a spotting video. I might go to Amsterdam sometime again, maybe finally spotting the A380 landing. Every time I went to Amsterdam with a buddy of mine, Twan, maybe he has provided the content from Skiatos in the videos that I've released one of them today, containing a lot of spotting videos from Skiatos. So make sure you go to the AviationPro channel on YouTube to find that video. And I've never, all the times we went there, we've never actually seen this A380 land. One time we were too late. We had to run, but we weren't on time. So I need to try again. And also, to see the Dreamliner of Arkfly landing there would be nice too. So maybe in the real world, but in flight sim, I'm not sure. I don't even have any Airbus installed in flight sim, to be honest. All right. Then we have another question. Or Gilong says, landing at Lukla may be a good idea for your next Vatsim video. Yeah, Lukla. One of those other great airports, of course, that's very scary to land at. I'm not sure if there's air traffic control at Lukla. Would be nice. Maybe some kind of event, with Viva airplanes landing at that very weird airport with the runway sloping upwards, or downwards. Well, it doesn't matter. It's like Courchevel in France, It's also it's a very, very short runway in the middle of the Alps, just sloping upward like that. It's very weird to land. You actually have to give power when you're landing just to get on top of the runway. And when you want to take off, you have to really make a dive to, get the air over the wings and get lift. So, it might be cool if they organize some kind of event there or at Lukla to Yeah. So, Roria12, where are you from? I'm from the Netherlands. I think I've said that before in the live stream. I live in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, which is pretty much the second biggest city of the country. Also has its own airport, which is very nice. Now we have another question from Acro14. Will you ever fly to Croatia? Well, maybe I will. I've thought about that before, flying to Croatia. It's kind of also this, Central Europe region. Known about. I've made plans before to fly to Dubrovnik and Split, but never really had the chance to fly to Croatia yet. But when I'm back in Europe from the US, I might do that sometime. Would be a lot of fun to do. And so there's a lot more to discover in Europe. I mean, if you go through all the countries, I've been to United Kingdom, Iceland. I've flown in Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, France, Belgium, Switzerland, Austria, Slovakia, Poland, the Czech Republic, Estonia. No, Budapest. I've not been in Hungary. Italy. Those kind of countries. But of course, there's a lot more to discover in Europe, and a lot more facts to discover. Yeah, so it would be nice to do. Luckily, there's always quite a lot of air traffic control available in Europe. I really like that. Yeah. So who knows? Again, I can't make any promises, especially not regarding Vatsim videos. But if I fly myself without flying at all, then or without making a video at all, then I might hop over to Croatia sometime. We got one more question coming in. All right, I still have time to answer that one. We're closing down in a few minutes. Do you like the C-130 or the A400? Well, I think C-130. Yeah, the Hercules. Classic airplane. I've seen it in real life, and I like it. Again, because I'm a Boeing man, maybe I'm a little bit biased in that way, but yeah. Although the A400 looks quite cool. Sadly, there were some problems with the A400. One of them has crashed in Spain some months ago. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to what the development of that airplane is, but it's kind of the same structure, propeller airplane for transportation. But since I'm a Boeing man, I'll go for the Hercules. All right, so Croatia has an event on Tuesday. Okay, is it every week, or I don't know? Maybe it's just a single event. Could be. Okay, one more question coming in. Duel02. What computer do you have? Well, I have my computer specs at the website. If you go scroll over to the top, flight simulation, and then tips and tricks, my specs are in there, so you can view them. And maybe it helps you to buy your new PC. So, well, that was about an hour. I'd like to thank everyone for joining in on the live stream and for asking your questions. It's been a lot of fun again to do a live stream. It's been a long time ago, but it was worth the time, and got a lot of questions answered, I think, in this 1 hour, and I'm glad it all worked out. So, I might make some changes to the setup of the live stream. Maybe invite some of you guys to join the actual chat with me to talk aviation. Maybe sometime I might make it a weekly show, for example, to just talk aviation for an hour. It's in the event in Croatia is from 19 to 22 UTC every week. That's good to know. Thank you. Okay. So yeah. The setup of the live stream might change a little bit. Might do it more often just to talk aviation. We all like that, I think. And so stay tuned on that via Facebook and via Twitter, via facebook.com/FS2004 AviationPro. There's also a link on the top of my website, and also to Twitter. I hope to help you out all of this, and yeah, thank you for participating in the chat room. And of course, you can see when the new live stream is over at aviationpro.nl/live, and of course also via my Facebook and Twitter account. I will mention when the new live stream will take place. So stay tuned for the next Vatsim video. It will take place in the US. I'm going to record it very soon. And in the meantime, I have some other videos coming up for fun, and some Vatsim FAQ videos as well that I still have to edit and upload. So stay tuned for those, and I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time on a new live stream.